Well, that was a long intro, wasn't it? Okay, so I'd like to introduce everybody. We've got a special guest tonight. It's Paul from Eco House in Thailand. He's has a Seal Performance. He's had it for a while now, and he's going to talk about his experience in owning one and buying one, and how BYD is going in Thailand, a country of 80 million people, which I was really surprised at. And of course, we've got Chris from Chris EV Trips, our regular, and we've got Ian Ogilvy from One Infinite Planet, back again. So, Chris, you had a drive of the Performance Seal, and I understand you're keen on the Dynamic. Have you changed your mind?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm actually getting used to getting in and out of sedans again, so yeah, it's not too bad. But yeah, having a go on the Performance was a real eye opener, I gotta say. Yeah, that thing is fast. There's no other way to explain it. So I don't know, Paul, have you done the 0 to 100 test on your one yet?
I've done it a couple of times. There's a couple on my channel.
Well, I've never been in a car that's done faster than 0 to 107 seconds, and I've ridden 750cc motorbikes. Yeah, they're around 4 seconds. So, but when I got in this car and I planted it, oh my god, it scared the living daylights out of me. It's so fast, and yeah, so much G-force. Yeah, so the blood in my head definitely started to. I get the G-force effect. I started to lose the blood in my head. If it was any faster, I would have passed out.
So Paul's got a funny video on his Eco House in Thailand where he took a local. Don't know what he means by local, but anyway, he took someone who lives there, and he took them for a drive and showed 0 to 100 is like on a dirt road. He ended up at 140, and the guy was.
You would have been freaking out.
Yeah, it's on my shorts. It's one of the shorts rather than the main video. But this chap was sat next to me, and he was, he had his phone ready to do a TikTok, this, and he's screaming, and I just, look at concentration on my face, because in Thailand, dogs could come out at any strange angle at you and all sorts of things.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think he'll be going for another test drive with you, Paul. I think you've lost a friend there.
Ian, have you driven the Seal yet?
No, I haven't driven. I've just sat in them stationary.
Okay. So one of the things that really interested me was when I was talking to Paul is a difference between what's happening in Thailand and what's happening in Australia. I'll very quickly summarise it, but Paul needs to go into more detail. I've got some slides here as well. But basically, there's hardly any Teslas sold in Thailand. Like, they're not on the top 10. BYD has a massive number of dealers. I mean, I'll just show you these are dealer outlets. I'll just show you. Where is it? Of course, you never find anything when you want it, can you?
They're in a separate folder. There were so many of them.
We'll come back to it in a sec, but what I will show is the sales for in Thailand. These aren't just EVs, these are all cars. And Dolphin's number 2 in all the cars.
So this was for October. This is just 1 month. And I would say that the Dolphin is a relatively new car here, so it that's really why there's a big push on it. But Atto 3 is by far the best-selling EV this year in Thailand, and Tesla are nowhere. Netta V is such a cheap car. It's cheaper than a Suzuki Swift, and it's a four-door EV.
So what happened to Tesla?
I really think that the marketing strategy, they got it wrong, really. I mean, Thais, there's an emerging middle class in Thailand, based really on credit. If you can buy it on credit and people see you've got it, then you get face, sort of thing. Most cars you can buy with credit, and it's good rates. Tesla not offering that at all. Yeah. So this is the deal that was offered in Thailand, and you can see that the interest rate offered is 1.88% with a down payment of 25%, 48 months. So that's quite a good rate. Then you get a year's insurance. Then you get 8 years of free maintenance, including parts and labor. You get 8 years warranty on the car and the battery. You get breakdown cover for 8 years. You get a free wall box with installation. Obviously, you get the vehicle to load adapter and the granny charger. I don't know. Do you call it granny charger? The slow charger, portable charger. So yeah, if you compare that, they're saying that deal is worth 230,000 baht, and Tesla would offer you none of that. You'd have to buy your own charger, and if you wanted to charge, it would be expensive.
BYD don't do that. So what happened with BYD is on a Friday, I got told, well, I can have the car on Monday, but I've got to transfer the money today. And that was it. Like it was like cash. You got to.
When you say BYD, that's the EV dealer group that you're actually buying the car from in Australia. It's not actually the company BYD.
But still, to buy a BYD, that's who you go through, and that's what you have to. That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Just to give you some understanding of the interest rates in Australia, the novated leases are in Australia. They're around about 12% interest.
Whoa,
that's a big difference.
Absolutely.
So,
sorry about that.
So just give us a snip, because I would like to.
But then you take the other extreme in Europe. BYD's sort of almost nowhere at this stage, and the cars are more expensive than Teslas.
Yeah, they got the pricing wrong, I think, in Europe. I would agree with you, Ian.
I mean, it's not clear. Have they deliberately priced the cars to have a slow entry to Europe, or
I definitely think
got it wrong? Yeah. Because I mean, you wouldn't think they'd be dumb enough to just get it wrong.
Because there was a lot of talk, and the European Union were saying that these cars were subsidized by the Chinese government, and that they were going to go after them because they thought the cars were too cheap. So there was some talk about that.
Yeah, I have a suspicion that it may be part of a softly approach, but I'm not sure.
Absolutely,
I thought it was to do with the fact that they're selling through a dealer network in Europe, the traditional dealer sort of network.
But they go through dealer networks everywhere of some variety. I mean, even though the arrangement is a direct model in Australia, it's still through a dealer network. So, and it's not very different, for an example, the way you would buy a Mercedes now.
Yeah, I know they've done that. Yeah. So I suppose we really should talk about the Seal in particular. So I asked Paul this question the other day, and it was basically the lines is he told me that he'd actually ordered a Premier and he couldn't get one because there's a great demand for it, and he was offered a performance. My question to him was, do you regret buying the performance?
It is a very good question. I mean, to be honest, the performance of the performance is more than I will ever need, really. You know what I mean? But I mean, as I said, we're talking off camera. I mean, the manual suggests that for the first 2,000 kilometers, you should drive the car in eco mode. And I have been driving in eco mode, but if you put your foot down, it'll still go like stink. You know, it really will. Yeah, it's difficult, really. I mean, it comes with a few more bells and whistles and things like that. Having that 3.8 on the back is a good talking point. You know, oh, you bought one of these Chinese cars. They're all rubbish, aren't they? You know, and well, when people say that, I just pop my video up of doing the 0 to 100 with somebody screaming in the passenger seat. And I say, yeah, this is the piece of rubbish I'm driving at the moment.
Yeah, there was one on Singapore. The Singapore guys took about 5 performance cars and big Porsches, all sorts of things. The only thing that beat it was a Lamborghini. The Huracan was the only car faster than the BYD Seal. There's nothing else that could beat it.
It's incredible.
There is this tendency to try and bundle all Chinese cars in one banner and assume they're all the same.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's funny here in Thailand because we're kind of in a bit of an incestuous relationship with China. It used to be with Japan. So there's an awful lot of Japanese manufacturers who've set up shop here to make pickup trucks that we'll send to you guys and stuff like that. And now it's the Chinese. The Chinese have arrived. BYD are setting up a factory. MG have got a factory. Netta are doing a factory. And there's a whole bunch of others, you know, in the wings waiting to build factories here. I don't know if it's just because it's made in Thailand rather than made in China, I'm not sure what the reason is, but we here in Thailand are really quite happy to buy Chinese because it's a good product and it's a good price.
it was certainly a good product. We might have a look at some comments here first. So this is from Dizzy Eye. He's just placed an order for a Premier. Now he has to wait. I placed mine the day it was ordered, the day they were released. I'm still waiting, but I'm going for the ocean blue upholstery. Tell me more about the autopilot. Well, there isn't really an autopilot.
No, can I chip in on that?
Sure.
There's an adaptive cruise control, and there's 2 versions of it. There's the normal adaptive cruise control that will just keep you behind how many car lengths you want and speed up and slow down, and that's fine. And then there's another version, and there are so many abbreviations of, you know, acronyms or whatever they're called in the manual. Yeah. I've lost track of what the actual letters are, but there is one that's a bit like a full self-driving. So, you know, if you take your hands off the steering wheel, it will just steer around. It'll follow the lines. And after a few seconds, it will flash red and say you've got to hold the steering wheel. And if you don't hold the steering wheel, it'll bleep at you. But you can just have a couple of fingers on it, whatever. It scares me to death, really. So I haven't really quite got used to it yet. But, you know, effectively, it does exist.
That's the same on most BYDs. But I mean, it's not a system that reads traffic lights and stops at red lights or things like that.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
After driving
the BYD, and then I went for a drive in the Seal, and I did notice it was more sensitive in the Seal than the BYD, than the Atto 3 that I have. But I've had 12 months to set it up the way I like it. So I did notice. I was quite surprised. I thought, I expected it to be better than the Atto 3, but I thought the system was more like it did in the 20 minutes I drove it, and I had one braking for maybe a hump road or something, and then one where it wanted to pull me off the road. So I wasn't that happy after just a 25-minute test drive, because obviously with the way we have our car set up, we turn the lane keep assist off and it stays off, so you never get pulled off the road. So that eliminates that.
So I don't find I'm pulled off the road by lane keep assist when I use it, but and I tend to use it most of the time when the adaptive cruise is on.
Yeah.
So what about you, Paul? How do you find it? Because we're talking about the Seal today.
Yeah, well, I mean, I drove the car on the first day from the dealer, and it was about a 50-minute drive to get back. And I tried to turn off most of the bongs. The first thing I had was the speed recognition, so the speed signs. The problem is that in Thailand, there's an assumption that it's 4 lanes, So therefore it's 120 and everybody knows that. It's only 2 lanes, it's 90. So you don't have, speed signs unless there's like a school, and then it'll go 50. And of course the Seal was going, hey, it's still 50, for the last 30 kilometers, it's still 50. And I was going, bleep, bleep, bleep. So I turned that off pretty quickly. Sorry?
Have you turned off the pedestrian warning?
At the moment, I can't turn it off. There is some talk, and you're never really sure if it's until you get it yourself. That's why I'm still saying it's a rumor. That there is an update which is not OTA, it's not over-the-air update. It's a dealer-installed update which gives you one more sound options, because at the moment we've got the ice cream van and the spooky forest, and those are the only 2. I thought the ice cream van was a bit cruel, really, because you tend to get the kids running out of the fields, and getting run over, thinking it's an ice cream van coming. But anyway, the update that's supposed to be coming will have more sounds and the ability to switch it off. But that's just a rumor, so don't quote me on that, because I went to my dealer and said, hey, I want this update. Here's the post on Facebook in Thai of this guy getting it, and they go, oh, you're the first one to ask for it. We'll have to look into it, but they never got back to me. But going back to the adaptive cruise control, not cruise control, the lane keep assist. On the way back from the dealer, I was going over a flyover, quite a narrow road, because it was a bridge, obviously, and the car decided that I wasn't following the lines, which were very badly drawn on the road, and it did kind of wrestle the steering wheel a bit out of my hand and spooked me, so I switched it off. But I have heard that the update is going to calm that down, and I just watched a video this morning from somebody in the UK who's got that update and said he'd driven the car before and after, and he feels a lot more comfortable with it now. But I don't like being nannied. I like to be able to switch stuff off. I like to drive myself,
Yeah, so I've driven the premium and I've driven the performance, and neither of them had the pedestrian warning. Did yours have it? The one that you drove, Chris, did it have pedestrian warning?
No, I think they might have got a bit smart and unplugged the speaker on the demonstrator cars, because the Dolphins I've driven as well, they didn't have it either. So no BYD cars I've driven besides the Atto 3 have had the pedestrian warning hooked up.
So we've got greetings from Turkey, and he's waiting for his seal. We'll just whiz through a few of these. Here's a question for Paul. Love what you do with BYD Seal and V2 to load. So Paul's done a lot in. Paul, I'll leave it to you. Tell us about what you're doing.
Yeah, I've got 3 videos on my channel, which is Eco House Thailand on YouTube. I actually just uploaded one this morning. I'm trying to get this message across because EVs get a bad press in a lot of society. I don't know why. But for me, one of the really good things about having a BYD rather than a Tesla is the vehicle to load. So I'm off-grid with solar. But the thing about being off-grid is that, you can hit a week of rain here in Thailand, and that can really stretch your solar system. So I've hooked up my vehicle to load to my solar inverter. And so I can run the house at night off the car. So I've done 3 videos on it, and as I did one this morning about it. I think it's fantastic. And I just am surprised that more people are not doing it, because there's 6 Tesla Powerwalls of storage in that car, and you can run the house all night and only use 4% of your battery.
So what's 6 Powerwalls worth?
There is in a car compared to the Powerwall.
Sorry, I didn't catch.
I was just going to ask you, Paul, how much is 6 Tesla Powerwalls worth?
Right. Okay. What, in terms of what, the size?
Price.
Or
Price.
Here in Thailand, and I'm sorry I'm using baht, but it gives you the 1.6 million for the car I've got, the all-wheel drive, and 6 Tesla Powerwalls would be 1.2 million.
Yeah.
There you go.
The car is basically bundled free.
Yeah. That's why vehicle to load is so good. And that's what I've got a solar person coming tomorrow night to do my solar panels, and so I'll give you a quote anyway. But the thing I think everyone wants to know, Paul, is the BYD has the no earth attachment when you use the vehicle to load.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand how, or maybe Ian, do you understand how that power can be picked up by an inverter or whatever it may be, so you can actually use it in your house? Because a lot of people want to use a generator connection and it doesn't work.
Well, obviously you can't have a true earth connection in a car, really.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've got my latest video, and I'm trying to work out why I've got such appalling viewing numbers. So I watched a few tutorials, and they said the only thing that was important about your YouTube video is your thumbnail in the first 30 seconds. And if you haven't got that nailed, no one's going to watch your stuff. So my latest video, I spent all this time working on the thumbnail in the first 30 seconds. But the point about this video is that I have literally taken my grid power and I've unplugged it. And I've plugged in the vehicle to load where the grid power had gone. And as far as my inverter is concerned, it's the same AC power coming in. So my inverters are set up. The priority is solar, utility, battery, and 90% of the time utility switched off. So it's solar and batteries. But, last night I plugged the car in because I'm doing some testing. And so solar is gone at 6 o'clock. And then it says, oh, is there any utility? Here it is. It's coming in from the car. And the inverter's not that bothered whether it's from the grid or from your car, So the only thing is, it's a 3.6 kilowatt output from the car, and the adapters are different. So there might be 2 or 2.5 kilowatt maximum. So if you go over that, then the inverter will go, okay, now I need to switch to batteries. And so there may be a sort of a split second when you're kind of in between the power while it's swapping between the two. But at night, for me, I'm running the house. I'm not running toasters. I'm not cooking a turkey in the oven. It's, and I can easily run the house just on, 1 kilowatt, to be honest.
So there are people in Australia doing that. I think Peter, an AO3 owner here, he was the one that showed me how he did it when I did that. I did a video on it a few months ago on Paul. William said the reason they had a bad quarter was the Tesla was because the factories had to cater for the Model 3 Highland. William, I think what Paul was talking about is just generally in Thailand for the since day one, they haven't done very well.
Yeah, 12 months, yeah.
But I mean, their price point is high.
Yeah.
And the main price point that's selling in Thailand is slightly below.
I mean, there is a government incentive available for manufacturers who have got a factory here in Thailand or a pledge to build one. And obviously Tesla have said no, they're shopping around. So they don't get it. And I'm not even sure, because 2 million was the cutoff point anyway, 2 million baht. So I got 150,000 baht off my car, and from January that'll be down to 100. So they're knocking 50% off, or a third off rather. So there's another reason to go out there and buy a BYD Seal before I missed out.
So I might just do a couple of quick. So our teacher is saying hi and thank you. Dizzy Dye. Okay. He's saying that the pedestrian warning hasn't been switched on here. That's probably why it's not. That's why we probably haven't heard it. That's interesting.
I can hardly hear it in my car when I'm inside, because it is actually so well insulated, the sound wise.
Is there a way to have a Sentry mode, security mode like Tesla on the Seal, Paul?
Do they mean like the cameras running all the time, and I think it'd have to be an aftermarket thing.
There is an aftermarket app in China that can do it.
Yeah.
But it's sort of not mainstream, and it's not really done with full cooperation from the car at this stage.
We got some information on the Powerwall. So they're 12 grand here, which is 72,000 for 6, and the premium is 58.
Oh,
But the performance is 58. Yeah, the performance is 68.
Yeah, I don't know, Paul, if you're aware, in Australia, I think we pay around $1,500 is the average price for electricity per year, US dollars, is if you don't have solar. Maybe 1,500 to 2,000 US dollars is the average spend on electricity in Australia at the moment. It's ridiculous if you don't have solar.
Yeah, I haven't paid for electricity for over a year. But sometimes I have a nervous night where I'm thinking, we're getting down to 30% on the house batteries. All those fears have gone away now because of the Seal vehicle to load.
Just on another point on that, Paul, I think you're using the adapter that comes with the car, which is the 10 amp.
Yeah. And
you can actually buy. I have an adapter that I bought from China, and it's a 15 amp adapter as well. So that that may give you a bit of extra current. Well, not 3,000 watts, maybe. Not sure if your power board will flick. Or is your one a 10 amp adapter, or have you had way over 10 amps going for yours?
At the moment, are you talking about the vehicle to load adapter?
Yeah, the adapter that comes with the car. Do you use that, or you got something else?
No, I've used that, and I've literally just plugged into that. I've got a box on a column, and then I run a cable from there into the inverter, into a transfer switch, and then into the inverter.
Yeah, because in Australia, in Australia, the ones they give you are 10 amp. They're supposed to flick off at 10 amps, but I don't think they do. They're supposed to be security. They're only maximum 10 amp load, but I'm not sure if they. I've had mine over 10 amps and it didn't flick the inbuilt breaker. It's just basically a cheap power board, but the ones we have here.
But you could cut it and just join the cables together, couldn't you?
Oh well, you need to use thicker cable if you're. Well, they're using the 1.5 mil power cable, which is not. Yeah. Oh, I suppose it's okay, but 15 amps. You probably should use thicker cable if you want to go to the 15 amp connector.
So, Paul, I saw on your YouTube channel, and I've been doing a bit of, and I've actually put something up on mine as well about the dash cam. So
the dash cam,
so you've put a dash cam in. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So the car, I think it's the same with the Atto 3, isn't it? In Australia, it doesn't come with the dash cam, does it?
No, the Atto 3 did.
Yeah,
it did. Okay. So it's like they made the car with a dash cam, and then they just took the dash cam out, and then they shipped the car. And so I bought. We have an online store here, which is a bit like AliExpress, but it's for Thais in Thai. And so I bought for 2,000 baht. I bought a camera, the BYD camera. It came with a BYD box, and I just put it just behind where the mirror is, the rear view mirror. There's a sort of case there, and it lives in there. All the cabling's there. Just need to put an SD card in underneath the. Where the drive selector is. There's a USB port, and then there's an SD card slot, and you pop in a micro SD card, reboot the system, and it goes, "Oh, you've got a camera," and a new app appears, and it has all the information on it that you would expect to see if it was a built-in system. Whether indicators were on, whether brake pedals, what speed you're doing, and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think they deleted that camera for a lot of European countries have privacy rules regarding cameras in cars, and I think they just decided to delete it.
But Tesla's sold over there, and they've got heaps of cameras. Okay, so let's just talk about some.
But the feed from the Tesla is not as available as you might think sometimes. It's like it comes up with security footage, but and you've got access to it, and it's sort of weird when you have and when you haven't.
So let's just go through some issues that people have come up with the Seal. One is that it's a performance car and it's difficult to get in and out of. Paul, did you find it difficult to get in and out of?
Okay. Yes, initially, because I'm currently driving an MG HS plug-in hybrid. I don't know. You have that car in Australia?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
It's a Honda CR-V sized SUV, and I mean, to me, there are three types of cars. There's a pickup truck you kind of climb into, and you have to go up to get into. An SUV, which is a kind of a sideways thing, and a saloon or sedan, which is very much a going down. And I've written some numbers down here because I did some measurements comparing my MG HS and the Seal, and there is about a 20 centimeter difference in these key numbers. So I think the three things you need to look at, first of all, is the seat height, because that indicates whether you're going up into the car, you're going kind of sideways, or whether you're going down. So the Seal is a 60 centimeters. Your bum has to be at 60 centimeters, as you know, and the HS is 80. So you can see that 80 is a much more comfortable, sideways, natural thing. The other thing is the door opening, how big the hole is you have to get your body into. The Seal is 88 centimeters. The MG HS is 108. So you've got a smaller hole to get yourself into. And then the final thing is that the door height. When you open the door, how much you're going to have to duck your head down. The Seal is 133 and the MG HS is 152. So think of what your own height is. That's how much your head is going to have to go down.
I can summarize all what you just said then, Paul.
Yeah.
Sitting in the car, getting in and out in a showroom, I hated it. I'm 195 centimeters tall. Pretty tall. I hated the damn thing. But after I drove the car, I was like, okay, I can live with it. I didn't mind anymore. After the first drive, I go, yeah, that's fine. I don't care anymore. It's such a great drive car. It was just fantastic. I just completely forgot about it.
I made a little film of that because I'm only 5'7" or something. And I did say after driving it that even if I had to get into the can opener, I can do, but this is me getting in and out. Okay, so how hard is it to get into these sports cars? So people have been worried about that. Well, let's have a look. So I open the door. It's very wide, lots of space that way. Now let's see if I can get in it. Oh, not a problem at all. That is not a problem. Huh. Perfect. So getting in and out of the car. It's not a problem. One of the advantages in being small.
But it's interesting that you actually, I mean, in the comments, people have asked me on my videos about this very thing. And I say, for me, the most elegant way of getting into the car is the reverse of what is natural to get out of it, which is what you did, which is basically to sort of spin sideways, take your feet out of the car so they're flat on the ground, and then you can just use leverage then to push yourself out and remember to duck. So that's a relatively elegant way to get out of the car. And if you did that,
I did fall backwards at that stage too.
Well, what I'm saying is to get in, you do the reverse of that. So you turn your back to the seat, and you basically get hold of the the seat and the door pillar, and you just sort of sit yourself down, ducking at the same time, and then just spin your feet round. So
I've got one more question for you, Paul, as well. With the BYD Seal, the doors go all the way down to the chassis floor. So in Australia, we have gutters that are around 130, 140 millimeters tall. So if you park that car next to the gutter, you won't be able to open the door to get out because the door will hit on the gutter. Do you have that? Have you found that in anywhere yet for passengers?
Well, no, it's a very good point, because I mean, I'm used to the SUV, and when the door opens, it's so much higher. It's 20 centimeters higher, so you know it's going to clear that the curb, if you have a big curb on the side, you know, where the pavement is. With a Seal, not so much. I wanted to say something about the door opening, because there are two positions for the door opening. There is, as Ian said, there's the full open, where it's really almost 90 degrees. The door is that far. And if you do open it to that point and you sat down, the door is a bloody long way away. So you're having to sort of lean out
Can't reach it.
to get it clear to close it. But the other thing is that in reality, when you're in the supermarket car park, you won't be doing that. You're putting it at the first position, which is a much tighter access, but it does mean closing the doors a bit easier.
I've got another question too. The Seal is very low to the ground.
Yeah.
And the part that goes out in the part of the car that's in front of the front wheels is very low. So, and Thailand doesn't have a lot of paved roads. Are you guys over there doing anything to protect underneath? Are you putting any sort of protective shielding or anything underneath?
The Thais, they love their aftermarket stuff. So on the Facebook pages, it's all full of, the standard springs are no good. They're nowhere near hard enough. These are the springs you need to put in. The wheels are rubbish. You need to have these wheels. And but one thing that did catch my attention, because I've actually seen the Seal up on, you know, a lift, and obviously the battery itself, and the main part is rigid. But then there is a kind of a soft, rubbery material at the front of the car and at the back of the car. And what Thais have been doing is they've been taking that off and fitting a steel floor, effectively, that will go the whole way along. It adds 15 kilos to the weight of the car. But I thought, yeah, maybe. Because one of the issues with EVs at the moment is with insurance. And if you scratch the casing of your battery, the insurance company gets very nervous at the moment, because there's not enough experience with EVs. And they say, oh, it's damaged, you know, perhaps needs replacing. So, you know, if you've got this aftermarket thing, so the scratch is on your aftermarket thing, then, you know, that's one less thing to worry about.
But if you put that in, isn't that going to have the car even lower into the road?
I suppose it would be, yeah, but it's sacrificial, I suppose. The point I thought you were going to make is that, you know, when you're in the supermarket car park and sometimes they have a concrete block dividing the parking spaces, my SUV rides nicely above that. And it, you know, I basically stop when my wheels hit it. With the Seal, it's so... Yeah, you have to have the front camera on and go, I think I'll stop here.
That's
just talking about the Blade battery. I read somewhere, I think it's up for a European Design Award.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it?
Did you?
On that subject of awards, the Seal is up for European Car of the Year too.
Oh right,
it's amongst I think it's down to 8 finalists, and it's one of the 8 finalists.
Okay, that's great.
And that's despite the price penalty the Seal faces in Europe.
Yeah, I had to laugh also. One of our motoring journalists here in Australia who've been in the Seal, he said he thinks that the build quality is better than a Mercedes. So that's his opinion.
There are no squeaks, there's no rattles, there's no loose trim. I don't know if you saw my video, you know, the inspection, the day I picked it up, because in Thailand, in the showroom, they have a dedicated delivery room that is lit like a you know, paint inspection zone. And I went round and I checked everything, and it was spot on. It really was.
The build quality is, I mean, even in Mercedes, it varies depending on which Mercedes, but the build quality is certainly in the range of Mercedes, I'd say.
Yeah. Oh, he actually owns a Tesla, so I was surprised for him to brag about how good BYD was. So yeah, obviously he's impressed. So
well, if you buy a Tesla, you get better software by and large,
yeah,
but you don't get the same build quality.
yeah, I don't know if many people know that or understand it, that Teslas, although they're perceived to be very well built cars, it doesn't seem to be. This BYD seem to be outbuilding them, so to speak, in terms of quality for the same price.
I have to answer this. I have to answer this question. The answer is no.
Well, this one, Ian, when you're doing that.
No, mate, no. I can absolutely no way.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Or you would do it if BYD sponsors it.
So, Ian, there's one of the photos that I gave you was from the BYD at the motor show in Bangkok with the blue interior.
Yes.
Because you said you definitely wanted the blue. I don't know if you can put that picture up. We can, because it must be difficult for people making a decision, blue or black, when there's only black ones to actually see. It's just that.
Yes, I did see that.
Take a while to find, I think. It looked like 50 photos there.
I'm organised.
Yeah. So
it does look dirty. I'm dirty.
This was at the motor show, so I don't know how many hundred sweaty bottoms had sat in that. And I don't know if it's an optical illusion or whatever, but when I got in, I just thought it looked a bit grubby, the blue. And, it is perforated for the cooling as well. So if any oil or dirt gets on it, it's going to be difficult to get it out, I think. I personally think that the black with the white stitching looks so sophisticated, and I felt the blue was just, well, it's a personal thing, color obviously, but that was my concern really about the blue. I mean, I know people with white Tesla interiors who say no worries at all, you can clean it, it comes up perfect, which may well be the case. But
so another question I'd like to talk about, if we could, and that is the Seal sunroof. So,
right,
if you look at the brochure that you get, and you get the brochure from, you can download it from the BYD website. It says that it's silver coated. Yeah. And I've done a bit of research, and it seems to be the best way of doing it. Every time I've been in the car, it's been like 36 degrees. Two things I've noticed. Firstly, when I touch the roof, it doesn't feel, it feels warm, but certainly not hot. Yeah. And I can't feel it on my head. So it's almost like and this is what I want to ask Paul, because he has one all the time in Thailand, which isn't exactly a cold place. So it seems that the reflection is such that it doesn't heat the roof, and therefore you don't get convection to come down and hit the air underneath, and it doesn't let so much radiation, so you can't feel the heat coming through. All in all, I had the impression that I could drive all day without a shade. More than that, and I can't do that with the 803. If I drove around the 803, it's too hot. So it's definitely different to the 803. What's your feeling, Paul?
Well, I kind of think that the glass coatings that people put on, I mean, quite often they're called privacy glass, but then in Thailand they're called like heat reflective, whatever. I think it's a bit snake oil, really, as far as I'm concerned, because they're fitted underneath the glass from inside. So yeah, where the silver coating is on the outside, so it's actually stopping the solar radiant actually coming into the glass and heating the glass up. So there's a video on my channel testing the temperature, and I decided not to put any additional film on any of the glass, and I wanted to live with it and see how I got on, because it's not cheap. And the reactions that sometimes have got on the forums is that they'll put some black film underneath the sunroof, and it's worse. They're not actually doing anything. So you know, I'm very happy with the sunroof as it is.
So you put the shade up?
I put the shade up to do the video, and then I took it down again, put it in the bag, which is a bit of a challenge. So it's going to stay in the bag now. Yeah, it's not like a normal piece of glass. It is very, very cool. It's I mean, I did a strange thing with my MG. I got it coated. I paid for this expensive heat reflective film, and it was still 50 degrees on the glass roof. But it did have a retractable curtain sort of thing. So I went out and I bought some foil coated foam, you know, for use for insulation, and I cut it to shape and I just slid it under. So between the glass and this curtain, when I did a temperature test on that, it was the same temperature as the seal with nothing. So in other words, all this extra insulation that I put in the film and the foam and the foil had the same effect as just buying the seal with the silver coating. So I think it's great, and the cooled seats are great. So nearly 2 months now, and I've done nothing extra to the car. It's a stock.
It's funny you should bring up those heated, those cool seats. It is unreal sitting on a seat that's cool. There's no
it's a bit of a shock. The old posterior. It's, ooh, let's turn that down a bit. But there is a voice control for that. You can, you know, once you work out the form of words, you can get the BYD girl who lives in the car to turn it down.
So, Chris, what were you going to say? Oh, you're muted. Paul, you are muted. Sorry,
Yeah.
Chris, you're muted.
Yeah, that was the first time I've ever experienced cooled seats, and it was really impressive. Felt like ice cubes were running down my back. It was so cold. It was really good. It was amazing. Yeah, very clever technology.
Before we finish on the sunroof, it really is an option not to have the sunshade up. What about glare for people in the back seat?
I don't know. I never sat in the back seat while it's driving.
The autopilot would need to improve a little bit.
But just looking up at that sunroof, it is massive. The size of that piece of glass is huge. Yeah. It's amazing. Like when you look at, if you're a backseat passenger that likes to look up, it would be so good for kids and stuff like that. They wouldn't even ask, "Are we there yet?" They'll be too busy looking out the roof. It's a huge piece of glass. Look.
Just to answer, I'll just do this one here. Just to answer Chris's question, the lowest height of the door to the floor is 25 centimetres. That's not much, is it? It's only, say, 8 inches or something.
Oh, no, well, when the door opens, it, you know, like the Atto 3, the door goes all the way to the bottom of the chassis. I'm pretty sure the seal is the same. So it's got to be the same height as the car. Or maybe the door swings up to avoid a gutter. Because in Australia, I park parallel parking on the street, and I'm just worried if I get the seal, will my passenger be able to open the door and not hit the raised gutter? And that's one of my concerns about the car. And what was the comment there, Ian? I can't quite read it. It was, how high is the door opening?
So just to answer Chris's question, the lowest height of the door to floor is 25 centimetres.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just to say, I do actually know this gentleman. He has his own seal, and he's on the forums here in Thailand as expat forums. So it's not a question. He's actually he's well informed about this.
So Sensi is happy to contribute £500 or £1,000 towards. Yeah, right, the question of the height is a definitive answer of the glare trends. I've seen anything from 120 to 145. The last thing is putting me off putting in an order.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's a low car. It is very low, and that was one of my biggest concerns as well, because like Paul said, if there's any damage to that battery pack, insurance companies aren't going to be too happy with you. It might lead to an insurance claim if you badly damage that battery pack, or the insurance company may think it's damaged, but as we know, you can smash that car and take the battery out and put it in another car and drive off. But insurance companies may not see it like that.
I think they're just overcautious at the moment.
Yeah. But yeah, it is a concern having the battery so low to the ground, but that's what a sedan is. It's a low car to the ground. Tesla's not much different. The Tesla Model 3 is almost the same height, maybe 5 mils difference.
Sensei, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know any teenager dancing on the roof of a BYD Seal Performance, but anyway. So Sensei, if you can't read it, can we see the footage of the teenager dancing on the roof of the BYD Seal Performance sedan in Sydney? I haven't seen that one.
No. Oh, so on top of the glass roof. Yeah.
Probably.
I don't think I'd like her on my car, no matter. Yeah.
I think it's pretty tough.
Yeah, I know, but still, I don't.
Oh.
So I did ask you at the beginning, Paul.
He's rushed out. I think he's rushed out and measured it now.
It seems to suggest that the further the door opens, the higher the clearance.
Yeah, must be like one of those cantilevered pivot points where the door actually
to the hinge.
raises when it opens. Yeah, that's good to know.
Paul, I did ask you at the beginning of this thing, and you didn't answer the question. You kind of bypassed it, and that was, do you regret buying the Performance over the?
Yeah, I think I started to answer it. Do I regret it? Well, we discussed this off camera. Is that basically, I ordered the rear wheel drive, which I felt was the sensible choice. Big battery, long range, probably a bit cheaper insurance, those sorts of things, all very sensible things. They didn't have any in stock. After a month, I was offered a Performance. They had it in stock. I could have the car the next day, and it was very difficult to say no to that. So I thought, and to be honest, I was egged on by a bunch of the chaps on the forums who'd got, because all the guys that ordered Performances kind of got them in the first few days. So they've been driving around for weeks with these things, and they're all going, it's amazing, and why not? So okay, I don't regret it. No.
So Paul, we've got a question just for you. Paul, not too many night drive videos from Seal Online. Any idea? I'd like to see the interior at nighttime and the lights.
Well, I'm in bed by 9 p.m, so that's probably the reason. With my cup of cocoa. But yeah, it's a good question. I mean, and I do like getting comments. I mean, somebody just said a comment to me this morning on one of my videos, saying you can connect, to the car from the app. How far away can you be? And I didn't know, because I've always been with the car. So today we charged the BYD Seal and drove my MG to go do a bit of shopping. And while we're at the shopping centre, I go, can I see my car on that? Yeah. So
it goes to a server. It goes to a server in the cloud. So
it's via mobile data. So you can be in another country and see it.
Well, I wanted to test it so I could reply to the chap,
Right. But surely in Thailand this time of year, by 9 p.m. it must be dark.
6 p.m. it's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, but
So
you could take your cocoa to the car and do some filming.
I could do, yes, stationary in the carport. It does look great.
So this question here is there anywhere to see the colours, what the colours look like? Because they all look the same to me on the ordering website. One of my videos I took a video of the grey, the white, and the blue out in the sun, and I took their temperature. So that might assist there.
Yeah, at the dealer I went to on the weekend.
Sorry, go, Chris.
What did you find?
So the dealer in Sydney is Prospect has the three colours: at the white, the dark blue, Atlantic blue, and the black. So you can see all the three colours if you go now. There's much more stock in the country. Same as your dealer, probably, Ian.
Yeah, there's also in the dealers in Alexandria have multiples of every colour.
Yeah.
So this is more about the guy dancing, or he or she. Says he broke the roof.
Oh.
Well, I mean, if you get on top of any car and you jump on it, can't you?
Did he throw a metal ball bearing at it?
Probably hit it with a hammer.
Yeah. So I know what I was going to show. So some of the people haven't seen this who have been watching. Where are we? So in Thailand, BYD has some incentives to buy the car. And Paul, do you want to walk us through this again?
So this is the deal that was offered, incentives with the car, and it's, if you're comparing a BYD Seal in Thailand to a Tesla, you get nothing free, and I mean white is a normal stock color for Teslas, but in Thailand it was black, which is the free color, so you had to pay extra for that. So this is what you get, and it was valued at 230,000 baht. It starts with a very favorable interest rate of 1.88%, down payment 25% over 48 months, which I understand compared to what you get in Australia is very cheap. A year of insurance. You get 8 years of free maintenance, labor and spare parts. 8-year warranty on the vehicle and the battery. 8 years of breakdown assistance, or I'm not quite sure what you call it in Australia, but emergency assistance. You get a free wall charger with installation, a vehicle to load charger, and you get the portable charger. So there's quite a big incentive really to buy a Seal over a Tesla because of all of these freebies.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty wild. I reckon they'd sell a lot more BYDs out here if we only had to pay 25% and then deposit and 1.8% over 4 years. But and the other thing we were talking about earlier too was the here we are. The other thing we were talking about was the different speeds that different cars can do their. So we've got the Seal at 3.8, but all the others are a lot faster. 3.6 for the Volvo, 3.3 for the Tesla 3. High performance.
I think you also need to notice the price. I know it's in Thai baht, but you see the Seal is 1.6 million, and the point the guy was making when he posted this is that there isn't a car cheaper than the BYD Seal Performance that will do 0 to 100 in less than 4 seconds. That's the point you were saying. And I mean, obviously the Volvo is pretty reasonable. Tesla's not too bad, but I mean, a lot of the exotic cars are imported from Europe, and they are there's a big import duties on those. But you're getting a lot of car for your money. That's what the guy was saying.
Okay.
Yeah, that everything that could go faster is more expensive.
For sure. So those people who are watching, if you could give us an upvote, I'm not quite sure. If you have a look at this here, so we should be getting upvotes. Whatever that is, if you wouldn't mind, do an upvote. It helps. Apparently.
Is it? You mean a thumbs up? You mean?
I don't know what it is. He just calls it an upgrade.
Just a thumbs up, I think, under video. Yeah.
Okay. So give us a few more of those. So Paul,
Ian, why don't you ask me what seal I would buy?
Yes, that was what I'd like to know. So you told me that you'd buy the dynamic and you wouldn't buy anything else.
Yeah. I've been converted. The power's got me, so I'll probably go up to the premium. I reckon 230 kilowatts would be enough for me. It'd make me happy.
So absolute power does corrupt.
Well, yeah, I wasn't fully corrupted though, because I didn't think I'd actually. I didn't unless you got to go track mode. I don't. Oh, if you want to track the car, sure, the performance would be the car to get. But I'm more of a cruiser sort of thing. I'm not really. I think even 230 kilowatts, you'd probably beat most people at the lights. So yeah, I've gone up.
Chris, I've been in the car when you're driving. Tell the truth.
I'm a bit of a lead foot, but
I just drive slow, he says. You should see him. Christ.
So can I just say something? There's this concept called buyer's regret. When you buy something and, you then, in the cold light of day, or you've had a bit of time to think about it, you just think, did I make a mistake? I actually made a post about why, this is on the forum here in Thailand, about why I was buying the BYD Seal. And I said, buyer's regret. I guarantee there will be a cheaper, there will be a better car coming soon or coming in the near future, whatever. But at some point, you have to drop the hammer and say, this is good enough for me, and I'm going to be happy with it. And for me, I wanted LFP batteries, lithium iron phosphate. I didn't want NMC batteries. I wanted lots of cycle life on the batteries. I wanted something that was going to be safe. And I also wanted the vehicle to load, and I wanted a decent range, a decent size battery at a reasonable price. And I feel that the Seal ticked all those boxes, and I'm really happy with it. And have I regretted buying the performance? No, because the worst thing would be to, for me to buy the the rear wheel drive, and then later on go, ooh, if only, you know what I mean? Okay, I've blown an extra 10,000 Australian dollars to buy the all-wheel drive, but as Ian and I were talking, the opportunity cost. What would you have done with that $10,000 that would give you as many smiles as this four-wheel drive, performance would?
Yeah, I can understand that. And having said about the LFP battery now, I think the word's out. I think people are going to prefer to buy cars with LFP batteries now. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think they're really the car companies that are trying to sell NMC batteries. I think they're going to come across a lot of criticism now. So I think LFP is going to be the future.
I've got another question for Paul. Paul,
okay.
The heads-up display. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, I like it. And one things that you won't really hear about will be what features are on it. I mean, obviously, all of the controls, the driver assistance controls, they will be on there. So it will tell you what the speed limit is, and in my case, 50 kilometers an hour driving from Buriram home. But it also gives you turn-by-turn navigation. So when you have the navigation on the system, you've got the map and everything, but it'll tell you when the next turning is coming up. Another factor which is interesting is the fact that the heads-up display needs to be at eye level to see it, and it is adjustable. I was a bit worried about this because I've married a small Thai girl, and if it's set for her, I'm going to have to adjust that. So, but that's just something to bear in mind.
Yeah, I did notice the same thing, but I didn't realize it was adjustable. But I thought it was fantastic how the image was like 2 meters in front of the car, which means you don't have to change your focus. Image, when the head-up display is working, it seems like it's 2 meters in front of the car. It's amazing how it can trick your eyes. I thought that was really clever.
If you get a phone call, it'll tell you who's calling on the HUD as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought that was really good, and that's another reason why I like the premium now. Head-up display.
It really is. I thought it was fantastic, but I didn't know about the navigation. I don't like using the navigation because over here, Paul,
Yeah.
unless you configure it every time that you get into the car, it gives you navigation and avoids highways. So you go from the Gold Coast to Brisbane, you've got to take the back road before that, unless you go and turn it off. And then you stop, to fill up with petrol, back up, and then you get back in the car.
Yeah, I think, no, every time there's an update, it definitely goes back to avoid highways, to tick the box, but that's the only time I've noticed it. And I think most people use Android Auto, Google Maps, Waze.
Is why are you stopping to fill up with petrol?
There's a joke. I feel humour. Say it not.
Yeah, it's strange the number of times that the avoid highways comes on, but I find it's not as consistent as every time either.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I did today too, I don't know if I've got it here. I put a little, yesterday I put a little USB stick into the Atto 3, the Seal, and it had a sideload app subdirectory. Bingo, it came up. So the Dolphin doesn't do it, but the Seal looks like you can do side-loaded apps.
There you go. Another good point.
Have you tried that, Paul?
I have looked at some of the videos about side loading, and what I'm probably going to do is get an Android box, and then I've got the wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, and then obviously I can put whatever apps I want without worrying about clogging up my car with stuff. So that's probably the route I'm going to take.
Mm-hmm.
So there's on the rumor mill. There is a rumor that 1.7 version is going to come out shortly. I wonder when it's coming to Australia. Anybody know?
And that 1.7
so it's going to have the BYD store on it with a couple of extra apps, maybe a browser and something else. Browser, maybe some Netflix apps or something like that. Just a few apps to start with, but it's a start. Don't know when that one's happening, so that'll be exciting to get another update. I like updates.
Here's one. He's interesting. I've got a performance on order, but I drove a Highland yesterday, and I'm questioning my choice and the insights. So I've driven both, and I do agree that the Model 3 drives very nicely. It's a very sporty sort of feel. But I like the heads-up display, and I like the big back seat and all that sort of stuff. What about you, guys?
I would definitely look at the glass and see which one you're more comfortable driving. I know Model 3 is a fantastic car. Don't get me wrong, but getting into a hot car every day for the next 5 years, I don't think the Seal is going to be as hot as getting into the Model 3. I think Model 3 you're definitely going to notice a difference. Every day you're going to get in, you're going to have to, and even people have, I don't want to be quoted here, but some people have said that the air conditioning on full on a hot day with the glass is still not enough. But I'm not sure with the Tesla.
The LFP battery in the standard range Tesla. You don't get the LFP in the performance.
No, you don't. It's just the standard, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's the build quality. But the Tesla also has its strengths. If you really want the autopilot, it may not be what people imagine an autopilot, but it's closer in the Tesla by far.
Yeah.
Sure. It's an order white, but change to Landis grey. Too many white Teslas on the road. Worry of heat, dark colours. Park in the basement 25% of the time. I got the white because it looks so damn good. I saw it next to the blue and next to the grey, and the white just jumped out. What did you? I mean, you've got a white one, haven't you, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I chose the white for a couple of reasons. I mean, on my video about is the Seal a hot car, I actually parked it in front of my house just to make the point, because my house is white, my car is white, because I live in a hot country, and then you put the laser temperature gun on it, and you can clearly see that white reflects a lot more heat. So that's one thing. But the sparkle, and I'm sure it's in the black, but I mean, I couldn't see it in the black, the sparkle. So
No.
it really does pop on the white.
Yeah, it's not a plain white.
No.
So I took the temperature of the three of the cars, not the black, with one of the little guns that Paul showed me, one of those infrared guns, which are pretty good. That was a good video too, Paul, by the way.
Thanks.
And I got the different temperatures, and the grey was 56. Big pardon, it was 65. The white, the light blue was 52, and the white was 44. It's a huge difference.
And another thing with Teslas, although I think Teslas are fantastic cars, don't get me wrong, the technology, everything about Teslas is great, but I don't want to drive the same car as in Sydney, there are so many Teslas on the road, and they all look the same. And I think if you've got the opportunity to drive a car that's not the same as everybody else's, then that's one that I would prefer to own. I don't want to be like everybody else, own the same car as everybody else on the road. And now Tesla's just dominating in Sydney now.
You'll probably see the Seal in 12 months' time having the same problem.
Probably, yeah. There's a lot of addos on the road as well. I don't feel special anymore.
Time to sell your addo and get a Seal, mate.
Yeah, I think so.
So we might just run through these last ones, and then we might call it a night, because we're only supposed to go for an hour. We don't want to bore people. Hi guys, enjoying the chat. Did Electric Viking? Hello, my friends. Did Electric Viking say BYD Seal in China was showing up in consumer survey as having quite a few complaints? Yes, I think they did. But I can't complain about my 803.
They do say not to not be the first person to buy a new car. And the nice thing about the Seal is it has been sold in China for months and months and months. So they've had time to sort of iron out any of the little kinks. So we're not being guinea pigs here.
Yeah, so that is another advantage of the Tesla. They do go very well when it comes to those sort of surveys. They're normally always on the top
as well. But the trouble with these surveys is as well that a car gets a rumor about something, and then people jump on the bandwagon. And for both BYD and Tesla, there are so many cars out there that there'll always be someone complaining about something.
Mm.
So, Chris, here's somebody after your own heart. I put an order for white, but I changed to Atlantis grey because there's too many white Teslas on the road.
Yeah, so, that's true. Yeah, I can understand that. I totally understand. Yeah.
The white Tesla is more white, though. Is more sort of a little bit more refrigerator white type thing.
It's not as shiny. It's not as shiny. But I thought my Atto was white until I parked alongside the white Seal. The Atto is almost a grey colour, isn't it? You got the same colour, Chris?
Yeah. So, like you said, I don't know, Paul. Is there any metallic in the white, or is it a flat white?
No, there's a sparkle. There definitely is a sparkle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I didn't notice that. And yeah, so what? And the colour we have, I like to call it pearl white. I think they call it ski white, but it actually is a light grey, and it does change colour with the amount of light in the atmosphere.
Sometimes it's a light grey.
yeah. But is your car's not like that, is it, Paul? It's always the straight white. It doesn't change colour. It doesn't look grey or anything, or pearl colour.
It depending on how much light is on it, is how much reflection you get from the sparkles that's in the paint. Yeah. So yeah,
but it's the more classic white of a normal classic white car. It's not like a sort of off-white car, off-white or pearl white, is it? Yeah.
So I think we're going to be heading up. Oh, just before we do, Ian, you were talking about the other day about having the Seal U coming to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a comment up here. BYD Australia and Luke Todd said that they're going to import 2 new models per year to Australia. In 2024, it'll be the Seal U Song and the Hybrid Ute. So it looks like you're right there, mate.
Yeah, that's the story. There is a suggestion that they may now bring more than 2 per year, but I don't know that they will next year. But they are looking to move up from that 2 a year, and they are expanding. BYD itself is expanding the goals in Australia. But and the interesting thing with the Seal U is that if you look at the Seal U pricing of the PHEV version, and it's the the Song something or other, I forget which one off the top of my head, Champion model, and the PHEV version is cheaper than the Seal sedan.
Wow. So I had this conversation with
it could be interesting, even though it's not a great car.
Yeah, I had the conversation on the weekend with the BYD dealer here in Sydney that I was talking to, and he said that they definitely want to bring the PHEV Song, the PHEV version to Australia. And I said, that's rubbish. Why would you want to bring that here? And he said, well, to be honest, there's a market for people who want to buy PHEV cars and not just full EV cars. And I'm going, they're going to be crazy. But he said, yeah, well, that's the market. He says, we have to sell cars that people want to buy. And he believes that there is a big market for those cars. Most people don't want to go full electric. Yeah,
they're not
apparently.
They're not trying to steal from Tesla. They're trying to steal from Toyota. And,
maybe, yeah.
And the Song U, whilst I definitely prefer their other vehicles in that category, if it's priced like it is in China, for example, relative to the other cars, it could sell well. But it sort of suggests that next year there'll only be 2 plug-in hybrids released and no pure EVs, unless they bring an extra one, which is possible.
So BYD stands out as an EV supplier in Australia. As soon as they start being like everybody else, they're just going to be treated like everybody else. But I'd like us to go, we have to finish in a minute. I'd just like to go around and ask a question. I'll ask Paul first.
Okay.
What now that you own the Seal, what things about the Seal don't you like?
That's a tough question. Can you give me a minute to answer? Can you go around to somebody else? I need to think of something. I really can't think of anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's good.
So my biggest concern was the height of the battery off the road. I don't want to go to a sedan. I'll probably try and hold out to the next SUV model that comes out, the Model Y competitor, because I prefer the SUV form factor. So I'm still deciding. Well, I've still got my deposit in, so I don't know. I'm still deciding what to do. Have a nice long holiday to think about it.
Till you get one that's not a PHEV from BYD.
What was that, Ian? Sorry.
It may be quite a wait until you get one from BYD that's not a PHEV.
Yeah, well, no, I'd never buy a PHEV. So I'm completely converted to full electric cars. I don't want to go to a petrol station ever again.
So what I don't like about the Seal is a small boot.
Well, it's not that small, actually. The only thing is the height. So if you buy a huge box, then you'll have to pop it on the rear seat or pop the seats down. But it is cavernous in how far it goes and how much stuff you can put in it. I've got sorry. I've got an SUV which has got a very obviously because take the parcel shelf out and you've got a lot of volume, but it's not very usable volume because you don't want to stack things on top of it. The thing with the Seal is that it just goes so deep, it just swallows stuff up. You put in bags of shopping and just keep pushing them forward. It is big.
I mean,
So
the
that-
interesting thing, Paul, how do you find going from the MG to the BYD in terms of the feel and fit and quality?
Well, I was blown away when I got the MG. When I got that sort of 2.5 years ago, and I just thought it was fantastic. It had Bose speakers, a real good quality fit and finish, and it didn't handle too bad for a big bus. And I was very happy. Now, there's not one single thing about the MG that I would say is better, really. I mean, I suppose just the space, really. And we, taking the dogs to the vet, we'll use the SUV, but I just love driving it. It's just such fun. There's a smile on my face the whole time.
The other thing that I found, Paul, and maybe it's different in yours, but when you put the back seat down, the center seat belt is still sticking up. So you put the back seat down,
Right.
and you've still got the seat belt.
I'm gonna have to pop out and try it because I can't remember.
Okay, well, I didn't like that. Anyway, we have to go now. But what we're going to do is we've had a few comments on this. We're going to put Paul's YouTube channel in the description down below. We're going to put Chris's down below, and we're going to put One Finite Planet website down below, so everybody can access the individual websites and YouTube channels. Chris, Paul, I think we really like your input tonight. I think it's been good, hasn't it, Chris? It's
I shouldn't be too hard on Tesla. They're great cars. I shouldn't be too hard on them. I shouldn't say they got bad build quality.
And I'm really pleased that we had Paul here tonight, and I'd like to talk to Paul a bit more about what he's doing in that as well. Just one quick thing: did you know he was a scuba diver?
I'm a scuba instructor. I mean, that's what I did when I first retired.
Instructor.
Yeah.
Well, I need to. The distinction basically is that you get to dive for free if you can take students with you. So that's what I did for the first 5 years of retirement. Is I got free scuba diving. You get paid in air.
Yeah. I'm up to Coron in the Philippines for my Christmas holidays, Paul. So going to do some wreck diving. So I love the World War II ships, diving under ships. So that's my little passion. So that's what I got to do with my 10,000 or my 13,000 that I saved by not buying a Seal Performance.
So that's why I brought it up, Paul, was because I knew Chris was into that too. Okay. Yes, we have talked about the ADAS. Okay, look, enjoyed the talk. Yep. Okay, we're going to go now. Any last words?
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh, yes, Merry Christmas, yes. Okay. All right, we'll end that stream. Good night, everyone.